Hello everyone, welcome. I'm Irene and today I'm going to be sharing information about Dunn's River Falls in Jamaica. And so just to let you know, full disclosure, I love Dunn's River Falls. So I have been here several times, been there several times. Actually, I think it's probably one of the things that my husband asks me every time, like, really, we have to go here again? But my answer is always yes. Yes, we need to go to Dunn's River Falls every single time. When we are sharing Jamaica with other people, when other people are traveling with us, it's something that I feel like it's a must see for new travelers. So I highly recommend it. I do want to share some details about it because there are some things that I feel like new travelers would want to know. And so just starting from the beginning, when you get to Jamaica, even if you're on a cruise, one thing is I really recommend that if your port of call is Ocho Rios, that you should not book this excursion through your cruise ship just because it is so close. It's literally, I think, like 2 miles away from where the cruise ship docks. And so it is so easy to get there from where your cruise ship gets in, that you can either walk there if you're very fit and you want to do that. You can get a taxi cab, which is very reasonable from this point. I think it's only around $10. I do have a separate video called Ocho Rios Port of Call, so if you want details on some of those things, more extensive details, please see that video. But I did recently look at the Dunn's River Falls website, their official website, and I did happen to notice that they have something new. I haven't noticed this before on their website, and that's if you are planning on visiting there and you are going to be in port for just one day on a cruise ship, that they do have an option of picking you up if it's close enough, and it's only just, please, it's only a few dollars more than what your entry fee is. So your entry fee for adults is going to be $23, and I think this is even an increase because when we were there just earlier this year, it was only $20 for adults. So on their website, it does say that it is now $23 for adults. It is, I think, $14 for children 4 to 12 years old. And for children younger than 4 years old, it is free. It does not say that they have a senior price for senior adults, but I do recommend that you ask them about that because when we were traveling there this last time, we were with my mom and she is considered a senior. I won't say how old she is, but we did let them know that she wasn't going to be able to make the climb, and that she was or is also a senior, and so they did give her a reduced rate. So if you are a senior or you are traveling with seniors and they may or may not be making the climb, I definitely recommend that you still ask them about a special rate for seniors because they may give you a discounted rate for that. So that is the entry fee, standard entry fee. And like I mentioned a second ago, they do have something new on their website saying that if you are close enough, they will charge you about $30 for adults for the day. if they need to pick you up and drop you off. So that's a round trip price. So $23 if you drive yourself, $30 if they pick you up and drop you off. That's not bad. But as I mentioned in my Ocho Rios Port of Call video, if you get a taxi from around where your cruise ship will be dropping you off, then it's around $10. So if you have more than 2 people, it would probably be worth it just to go ahead and get the taxi. So parking, there's no extra charge. You get there, you park, and then there are restrooms if you need to change, either before you get in or when you're getting out. That's going to be easy enough. For us, we usually keep everything that we don't want to get wet, we keep that in the car. And so I'll probably talk a bit more about that at the end. But then you go, you pay, you get in. It's, I wouldn't say it's level. There are some inclines, but there is an easy enough way for those that have limited mobility to get around without too much difficulty if they are not making the climb. So when we were there with my mom, she wasn't going to be making the climb. There were some benches that she could sit and keep an eye out for us when we were passing, so that she could still see the falls, she could still see us when we were making our climb, and it was easy enough for her to navigate. And also something to note for those of you that have little ones that aren't going to be making the climb, then they do have a little splash pad, which is really nice for smaller kids, and they do have a slide. So it's kind of fun for little kids. And if you and your partner, if there's just 2 of you with a small child, you can trade off and be with them while they're in the splash pad and being on the slide, so you can slide down with them. Or if they're old enough to slide down on their own, then you can do that. It just empties out into a little area that has just a tiny bit of water, just a couple of inches, and so you don't have to worry about them getting into a big body of water. It's just a small amount of water, so it would be okay for probably kids like 4 years old, I would say. Obviously, if they're, really, really small, you'd want to go down with them. And I did actually go down the slide by myself, and it was fine. So adults can go down the slide also. So I just wanted to let you know that for people that have limited mobility or for little kids, there are still things for them to do here. So that's one thing. And then the other thing to note is that for those of you that are doing the climb, you definitely want water shoes. I don't think you can even consider making this climb without water shoes. And so you can choose either water socks or water shoes. And if you happen to forget your water shoes, don't worry about that at all. They do sell water shoes at the park, which actually make nice souvenirs. And I actually happen to have my husband's water shoes, because even though he did have water shoes with him, he just wanted to have the ones that they sold there, because they also, like I said, make a good souvenir. So I will just show you those. And let's see, these are of course well worn, but they do have the Jamaican colors, which make them nice souvenirs. They do have a nice thick sole and lots of traction, and so these worked out really well for him. They were very sturdy. Judging from the wear on these, he can use these at least a few more times, I would say, on other trips that require water shoes. So just know that they will have water shoes there for you if you forget yours or if you just want to have them as a souvenir. And so then when you get inside, you have your water shoes, you have everything. If you bring in anything in a bag or things that you don't want to get wet, they do have lockers at the park that you can rent. And I can't really remember the price of those. I don't think they were very much. I think they're around $5 to rent for the day. We didn't use those. We kept everything that we didn't want to get wet in the car. And so for the camera that we were using, we had a waterproof case. And so actually it was my daughter's cell phone that we were taking that had the waterproof case. And then she just took a little extra money in case she wanted to buy something while we were there. And then she also, I don't think she had her driver's license. I think it was just cash actually that she had in addition to her cell phone in that waterproof case. And so know that once you get into the park, they also have changing rooms, restrooms. Like I said, they have lockers. If you are, I guess, whether or not you're getting there with a cruise ship or getting there on your own, they do try to corral you into a group that meets all together to get assigned a guide to take you up the falls, which is fine. I mean, if you want to do that, it's included, it's considered included in the entry fee. Although if you do use a guide, you will want to tip your guide at the end. So that's the only extra price associated with going ahead and accepting the guide. And so they automatically, like I said, kind of corral you into this area where you get assigned a guide. If you don't want a guide for whatever reason, then you can just bypass that line to get assigned a guide, and then you just go down to the beach. And so there is an incline or kind of a steep hill area that you have to walk down to the beach. And so my mom wasn't very comfortable navigating that incline, and so she just stayed above where that incline starts. And there are some benches, like I said, right near the falls that she was able to sit and watch. So for those of you that are making the climb, you just walk down to the beach, and you can bring food in if you do have food and you want to have your lunch on the beach, and then anything else, towels or anything else that you don't want to get wet, then you just lock those up before you make your climb. So down at the bottom, there is a beautiful beach. It's gorgeous. I didn't notice any chairs or picnic tables or anything. So if you are choosing to picnic on the beach, you will need to know that there are no real tables down there. You can just lay out your beach towel and have your picnic before you make your climb. And if you want to spend some time in the ocean and swim a bit, then you're free to do that. And actually, the water, depending on the time of year you go, it's going to be really refreshing and nice to get into the water. And I think the ocean water is actually warmer than the river water, so it feels really good. Anyway, so you can do that, and then you, when you're ready to make your climb, if you are not part of the group that is with the guide, then you are walking up or climbing rather up the falls on your own with your own group. And so just know that the rocks are very slick, and that's why you need your water shoes. So everybody normally holds hands, whether it's just your small group or the larger group. They hold hands, they walk up the falls, and we usually just walk up the falls on our own, which I like because then we can just stop in the little water holes and swim, take pictures, take our time. If you're with the guided tour, I guess, then they are going to be keeping the group moving through at a pretty good rate. I didn't really feel like I had the freedom to just stop and take pictures because we're all holding hands and we're being led up all together. So I did do that one time. After that, I've just chosen to go up on our own all the rest of the times. And so this climb is, I mean, it's, I wouldn't say it's rigorous. But it's a pretty good climb. So you have to know yourself well enough to know if you're going to be able to do it. It's more rigorous than climbing regular stairs because you're also battling the water that's coming off of the falls. And it happens that earlier this year, they did have a very good wet season, and so the water was really rushing. It was a lot more forceful than I remember it being in the past, and so it made the climb a bit more challenging. So you'll have to gauge based on how much the water is rushing to determine how young of a climber you would want to try to attempt this. I would say the last time that we were there, when it was rushing pretty heavily, I would say, and I will insert some pictures on that just to give you an idea.
Yeah, let's just go that way.
I would say probably 8 years old is about 8 years and up is about an okay age, and you are holding hands, so that gives a little bit more stability and security with attempting this. But as a parent, if you're bringing smaller kids, you'll just have to use your judgment and decide. I know on the website, on the Dunn's River Falls website, it says I think 7 years old might be the youngest that they recommend. So it's just up to you what you think when you get there. And, you know, regardless of whether you decide to climb or not, the entry fee is still the same. So, you know, if you just want to watch and take pictures, you're going to be paying the same amount as you would that, you know, somebody actually climbing would pay. So that's one thing to consider. And then just know that the entire climb, I would expect about 45 minutes, you know, 45-ish. It's kind of difficult to really give a firm time on that just because we took our time. We swam around in the water hole parts because it's not just a straight climb. There are sections or portions that you can swim around a little, and of course there are wonderful photo ops along the way. So we definitely took our time, and there are exits. At least I noticed at least one exit before you reached the end, that if you didn't want to keep climbing, that you could go ahead and exit early. So that's another thing. And I did kind of think about if somebody didn't want to make the entire climb, they could probably even enter that exit point. So it's after, I think, the steepest part of the climb. If somebody wasn't really confident and didn't know if they could make the climb all the way, they could enter at at that exit point and still have at least part of the experience. So that's one thing too. And then let's see. Oh, also, I wanted to let you know that there is a little place here that you can get drinks. I don't know if they sell food. I do know that they do sell drinks there. We didn't get any food or drinks, so I can't really give you a good idea of how much it would be, because generally when we are visiting Dunn's River Falls, we eat before we go in, and then by the time we leave, we're hungry again, and so we eat after we leave. So we've never actually eaten while we're there, so I can't give you a good idea on that, but I know that they at least sell drinks there. And then they do have a craft mart, and so when you leave, there are signs that kind of direct you through this craft mart to exit. And so I don't know if there's another way to get around this craft mart to exit. I just know that each time we've been there, we've had to go through the craft mart, and the signs take you through the craft mart to exit. And so if you're not interested in buying anything, you know, just feel free to say no thank you, and keep walking. If you do want to buy something, then they do expect that you will be negotiating the price a little bit. So, you know, they're expecting you to haggle. I do have a video on shopping tips, so if you're interested in that, please check out that video. But you go through this craft mart in order to exit, and then like I said, once you exit, there are restrooms and changing rooms. So if you do happen to be like us and you've left your clothes in your car, anything that you didn't want to get wet, then you can just go retrieve those and change out of your wet clothes, and then you're done. So anyway, I think those were all of the highlights. I do have my notes here, so let me just go through and make sure that I haven't forgotten anything, which I actually, surprisingly, I don't think I did. So anyway, I hope that you found this video helpful in some way, and please like and subscribe, and I hope that you will tune in for some of my other videos. I do have a whole Jamaica series on my channel. I have mixed in some other topics, and I do have a lot of other videos that are still to come, so I hope that you will subscribe for all of those. Thanks, and I hope to see you again next time. Bye.